Hi, babies. It's the even more fabulous Mother Love and Mr. Kennedy again. It's always been boding well to reintroduce ourselves. So there's a lot going on, and we were talking about this earlier, because I do research. I don't troll the internet. Some people say, how long you been on there? I've been told before they literally would come into my office and say, step away from the keyboard. And I didn't even realize that I was addicted. You know what I call all this electronic stuff? Electronic crap. Because everybody. And it's got good information, bad information, some disinformation, and then we got to sort it out and see what's going on. So today I was reading this article. Well, actually, it was the other day I was reading this article about a young man, 28 years old, married. He and his wife had decided not to have kids. And people can they can do that. And when you make that decision, it's fun because you set the groundwork for what you want your relationship to be. Okay, well, he has a younger sister, and they have the same dad. And he was 28, she was like 11, and their father died. And I would think it was either the father's brother or the mother's brother, uncle, who said they will take the little girl. Well, the 28-year-old guy said, well, I'll take her. We can raise her. I know it's going to be a challenge because, she's 11 years old and I don't know anything about this. And the wife said, this is what I did not sign up for this. We made a pact. We made an agreement. We were going to be a childless couple. Okay. In your opinion, how do you feel about that? Cause, this is your sister. This is your family. And you made a commitment to your wife. And things do change. Sometimes the ground rules have to change. You got to be flexible. Do you think she's right to say this isn't what she didn't sign up for it, but to say she could do it but don't participate?
Not do it and don't participate. No, that's not right, and that wouldn't be the right thing to do.
Okay.
If you're going to do it, then you jump in both feet and you do it. Because you and your husband had talked about having kids before,
mm-hmm.
and y'all have decided between the two of you that you didn't want to have kids, and that's the two of y'all decision.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want to have kids. The fact that this unfortunate circumstances came about, which had your husband to rethink, even though we agreed that we didn't want to have kids and we were happily married together
mm-hmm.
without kids. Okay, when this situation arose where we needed to adopt our niece, but your wife said, well, remember what we agreed upon was not to do that.
Well, actually, she's his sister. She's the husband's little sister.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
and their parents passed, and so that was his sister.
Mm-hmm.
His wife said, well, wait a minute. Yes, she was a great niece, but did I never planned on, trying to raise kids. I understand her point that it was something that she had decided, hey, we're doing fine the way we are. We were looking after your sister when we had time, but she wasn't ours all the time. She was just ours when she came over to visit, and she went back home, but she didn't live with us. The fact that with the unfortunate death, and now they're asking them to step up and say, okay, this is your sister. Would you take your sister in versus letting her go stay with another family member?
Or go to the system, go into the foster care system.
Personally, I would have not been able to allow my sister to go into the system
mm-hmm.
if I had the ability to prevent that. I would have to respect my wife's wishes, because that's something that me and her, we decided as a couple,
mm-hmm.
what we wanted to do or not do. But circumstances do change,
mm-hmm.
and I would think because her being 11, well, in a sense, if you say that a person is, when they turn 18, they're an adult and they can start living their own life and doing what I said because I say that.
Did I give the face? I did the face. I didn't mean to do the face.
The fact that, if we don't have rules and boundaries, then you can say, well, if you're 30, you still should be living at home. and listen to what your parents say. I don't think most people will want to do that. Okay, so we've chosen 18 as being the agreed upon timetable that we want to say you're an adult now. You can start making adult decisions on your own. You can get a job. You can actually join the Army if you chose to. That if you chose, you could. That so you're making adult decisions. So if she's 11, there's only 7 more years before she would become a
legal adult. I think
so. I mean, is 7 years too much to ask?
You're asking for the wife. Can you be in this with me for 7 years? Wouldn't want my sister to. And now his uncle had said he would take her and raise her. And then when he thought about it, they to not have so much stress in the family, they asked the little girl, well, who do you want to stay with? And she said she wanted to stay with her brother. Well, she thought he was, he was more like a father to her anyway because of the big age gap. And so.
I understand. I'm saying I can see the situation, and I'm saying if it was me, I would not say no to my sister of coming to stay with her. I would try to convince my wife that yes, this is something that we did not plan, but this is a case of an emergency where you're changing on the fly. You saying okay, this situation arose. No, not because we wanted it to arise, but it did arise. And the fact that it did, what will we do to try to make it, how can we help my sister at her time of need? I would hope that my wife would say, okay, no, we didn't plan on raising kids, but I'll be willing to help you raise your sister for the next 7 years, so that she will be okay.
She might be there for 28 like our son was like,
It might be, but that means circumstances change.
Yes.
When you say might be. Okay, but the actuality is that, when she turned 18, she might go off to college, so she wouldn't be at home anyway.
Or like you said, go off to the military.
There's a lot of things that could happen when she turned 18. But until then, would I be able to say no to my sister coming to say no? I would hope I would be able to convince my wife that even though she's an older child, and that most people, if they're going to adopt a child or accept a child into their life, they normally want them really young.
They want newborns and up to maybe, I think, 2 or 3.
Yeah, I said, young, much younger. So you have a chance to, they get to know you and your rules, your regulations, how you do things with you and your wife. That's one thing. But being his sister, she had a chance to see a lot of them anyway. While she was growing up. So it wasn't like she would be going to a stranger.
Right.
Or coming into a totally strange situation. Even though it was the brother or the uncle said he would take.
It's their uncle.
Okay, uncle meaning that it's either the uncle on her
either her mother's his mother's brother or his father's brother.
Okay. That they would say, they would not want to go into the system either. So they're saying that they would be willing to adopt her because, to bring it, whether they adopted her or just let her come stay with them. Because you don't have to adopt them. They could just come and live with you until they turned 18.
Can you do that with the child?
Yes. Yes, right now. If your sister came and stayed with you, or one of her kids came and stayed with you, you don't have to adopt them for them to come and
stay. I got you.
At all.
Oh, that was kind of like crazy because we've done that before,
the situation, but it comes down to the two people and what they're thinking or how they're thinking about. Okay, well, the wife has said, okay, I like our situation the way it is. We see your sister when we see her. When we don't see her, we're living our life. Do I really want somebody else to come start staying with us on a full-time basis? If the wife, if she was, truly adamant about that, not wanting to have someone else to come stay with them, I understand her point, and then maybe I would be willing to consider, her staying with the uncle or aunt versus staying with us. But what I try to convince my wife first that, because this is my sister, she's a lot closer to me than just saying, she's a cousin, a nephew.
We're not related.
Not related at all, but this is my sister. I mean, she's in an unfortunate situation. Could I care enough, enough for my sister to say yes, come stay with us,
and enough of the wife, even though that might not have been what our plan was, and plans often change because you just can't control some circumstances. But her she would become a mother figure, and for her to step up to be able to stand in that gap. I'm hoping she will be compassionate enough to say this child needs to be nurtured, and I can be there, and I'll stand in the gap, and I will continue to be one of the adults in the room, and not just cause some people treat them kids when they're in foster care, they treat them kids like garbage, and I couldn't even imagine.
But this is not,
she didn't go into the system.
Where she was already in the system, you trying to bring her out of the system.
That's hard too.
She was never in the system.
Thank goodness.
I mean, it's hard to say that your wife, if she didn't agree, that I would just think, okay, you're a horrible, terrible person because you didn't agree. I would have to understand that. Okay, we did make an agreement. Okay, we were happy not having kids. I mean, it is a responsibility to take on anyone else and say, okay, they'll come and live with us. We'll be in charge of their well-being until they're of age to move out and do things on their own. I mean, could I honestly say that the wife is wrong?
No, I don't think she's wrong. Disappointed maybe, but how would she would need to work through that with her husband and with herself first, because I would hate to see a child go into that situation and then there's that built-in animosity. Well, I didn't want you to be here in the first place. They might not say it, but kids are very intuitive. Most of them are very intuitive. And they could pick up on that animosity. And that wouldn't be a good environment.
If it was. But, I mean, you think about the shoe being on the other foot. If it happened to have been one of her siblings and their parents.
That might have been why she wanted to have kids. I don't want to have kids. They said, my sisters and brothers is crazy. Say it again, I'm sorry.
She could have had a bad relationship with her siblings.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so, and not wanting to do it because you did have a bad, situation. But, I mean, everybody, is different. And to say that, I would have to condemn her because she didn't want to bring in, her husband's, younger sister to come live with them because of an unfortunate situation that has occurred with the passing of their parents. And so, I mean, emergencies and situations change, and I would hope that my wife, even though that wasn't something that we had planned,
right,
would be willing to say, I will adjust because this is an emergency. This is not something that nobody planned to happen. It's a bad situation that did happen, but can we look out for my sister and not just turn my sister away and say, well, we didn't plan on having kids, so I don't want this started now.
Yeah, that could be quite a dilemma, an awkward. It is a dilemma. It is a dilemma. Oh, we can't even talk about dilemmas. Okay, you just gave me a flashback to you-know-who doing the you-know-what, and I'm just, that's a story for a whole nother chapter.
But I mean, but that's why we all are different human beings. When somebody's willing to do something and somebody else says, oh, I would never do that, I can't even consider that. But then consider reality, what if that had been you when you were growing up? And the circumstances put you in that predicament. Would you want your older siblings to care for you, to have compassion for you? Or would you want your older siblings to say, well, that's
your life. You'll figure it out. Only way you can really figure it out is if you're learning from someone who's done that, who can be compassionate and understand, what shoes you are standing in. And, you talk about, if it was on the other foot, this is the kind of situation where you really need both feet because you said, you got to jump in wholeheartedly. Because, even when you had your own children, we didn't get a handbook. And then when you do get the handbook, it's like that's not applicable over here.
Okay, but that's not every family.
I know.
And because most families, hopefully, do care about their brothers and sisters. and would not just want their brothers and sisters